The Nurse Who Defied Death, a story of bravery in war. War is often remembered for the soldiers on the battlefield, but behind the front lines, another group of heroes fought just as bravely, nurses. Among them, one woman stood out, defying death time and time again to save lives. This is the story of a wartime nurse whose courage, resilience, and selflessness made her a true hero in the face of unimaginable horrors. The outbreak of war. A call to serve. When World War II erupted, thousands of young men went to the front lines, but so did women. Nurses who had sworn an oath to heal, not harm. One of them was Margaret Taylor, a young woman from England who left behind the safety of home to serve as a field nurse. With only basic medical supplies and her unwavering determination, she was deployed to some of the most dangerous war zones. Her first assignment was in North Africa, where British and Allied forces were locked in brutal battles against Axis powers. Working in a makeshift hospital tent, Margaret treated soldiers with life-threatening injuries, often performing medical procedures under enemy fire. Bravery under fire. The bombing of the field hospital. One fateful night, enemy aircraft targeted their field hospital, mistaking it for a military base. Explosions tore through the tents, and panic erupted as wounded soldiers screamed in agony. But instead of running for cover, Margaret sprang into action. She dragged injured soldiers to safety, using her own body to shield them from flying debris. With no electricity and supplies scattered, she improvised with torn uniforms as bandages and used a single lantern to guide emergency procedures. Her quick thinking saved dozens of lives that night, and when the bombing ceased, she was still there tending to the wounded, refusing to rest. Captured by the enemy, a test of courage. Months later, Margaret was stationed in the Pacific, where she volunteered for a dangerous mission, providing medical aid to prisoners of war, POWs. Her unit was ambushed, and she, along with several soldiers, was captured by enemy forces. Thrown into a POW camp, Margaret faced inhumane conditions. But even as a prisoner, she remained a nurse. Using scraps of fabric, she cleaned wounds. She whispered words of encouragement to dying soldiers. She shared her food rations to keep others alive. Her captors ordered her to stop, but she defied them, risking brutal punishment every day. One night, she secretly delivered medicine to an Allied pilot suffering from infection. The act of kindness was discovered, and she was sentenced to solitary confinement. Despite enduring weeks of suffering, Margaret never regretted her decision. In her eyes, every life saved was worth the cost. The Great Escape, risking it all for freedom. After nearly a year in captivity, Margaret and a small group of prisoners saw an opportunity to escape. Under the cover of darkness, they crawled through the jungle, avoiding enemy patrols. The journey was treacherous. Hunger, exhaustion, and disease threatened their survival. At one point, a soldier collapsed from dehydration. Margaret, despite her weakened state, carried him on her back for miles, refusing to leave anyone behind. Days later, they reached Allied forces, and Margaret, though frail and wounded, reported everything she had witnessed, ensuring the world knew the horrors endured by POWs. A hero's return, honored but never forgotten. After the war, Margaret was recognized for her extraordinary bravery. She received multiple medals for her service, but she never sought recognition. To her, being a nurse was not about medals or honors, it was about saving lives. She continued to work in hospitals, dedicating the rest of her life to helping war survivors. Her story faded from history, but those she saved never forgot the woman who defied death for them. The legacy of a wartime nurse. Margaret Taylor's story is a testament to the courage of wartime nurses, women who stood in the face of danger, not with weapons, but with compassion. They fought their own battles, not on the battlefield, but in the hospitals, prison camps, and war zones where every second mattered. As we remember the heroes of war, let us not forget the nurses who ran into fire instead of away from it, who saved lives with their bare hands, and who proved that true bravery is not just about fighting, but about never giving up on humanity.